Okay, we're live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have two very special guests, returning guests. We talked back in October 29th, kind of about their experiences coming out of the occult. Their names are New York Patriot and Lux. And I've kind of been following them. They've been busy. They've been a bunch of shows that I'm familiar with. I'm trying to catch up with all their research. But I reached out to them, and we're going to talk about something they've been covering or looking into recently, which is the Scarlet Woman and the theme of that in kind of popular culture, film, etc. So they're going to talk more about that. So Lux and New York Patriot, welcome back. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having us on. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, for people who didn't hear our last show, can you kind of do just a general recap of your backgrounds, kind of leading up to, what your backgrounds in the cult groups, and then your research leading up to the kind of Scarlet Whore, Scarlet Woman theme?
Sure, New York, you want to go first?
I'll go first. I was an ex-member of the OTO. I left because I just didn't feel it was a safe place, and I just think it's a psyop in itself. There's a pyramid scheme outside the orders, in my opinion, just like there is on outside in the regular world. And started a podcast because I think people don't quite understand how serious the occultism is, or how much of it is in our faces. And met Lux, and then we started the Occult Rejects.
Yeah, a former member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Similar story to New York Patriot. Began to see a lot of control and of information while I was in the secret society, and was generally unsettled about it. And after asking a bunch of questions from higher ups above me, they more or less were gatekeeping information, so I decided to leave. And like New York Patriot said, we met, started a podcast, and we have done a bunch of different subjects. We've covered tons of secret societies and other orders, and we definitely started to see the importance of the Scarlet Woman, or the harlot, that you see used in occultism, but it's also used in other religions and belief systems, and it's a very deep and oftentimes misunderstood subject, so we decided to cover it and show people what we found.
Cool. So where does it go back to? Where's its origination, this theme?
Oh,
Is it like from Eastern religions, or is it something from Western esotericism?
I feel like, the thing is that, even if you go back to the Kabbalah, I don't know if people want to argue how old that is. It's in there. I honestly, in my opinion, really what it boils down to is the feminine energy of creation, but off balance is what we're viewing now, in my opinion. And it starts to become a problem, and it starts to control mindsets, and it starts to, like, everything you see going on right now is because of, my opinion, the feminine or the left pillar just reigning in total control, unbalanced, and it's taking control of society and mindsets.
Yeah, the Scarlet Woman, it definitely appears early on in the Bible, but it's also a concept that's shared in Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology. It's sort of this common overarching theme that you see in a lot of these different religions. And it's definitely an allegory, but it's definitely a deeply occulted metaphor for I would say, at the most basic level, the energy that it represents and where it's located on the tree of life.
Gotcha. So it's a feminine representation of feminine energy that's twisted or whatever, right?
Yeah, I'll be totally honest. When it comes to the Scarlet Whore, it really is a huge allegory for multiple things. It can show you how magic is actually done. It talks about, that's why I think it's one of the things that you really don't know that much about, is because if you started getting into that, it might start making other things make sense. Like, how is magic really done? What are people really doing when they're having magic? Because a lot of the sexual stuff, now I'm not saying that there isn't sex going on, and I'm not negating that, but a lot of stuff with the idea of the Scarlet Whore also represents other things besides sex.
But even in the Bible, she is, or that theme, the Great Whore, is likened to sex.
Oh,
It
yeah,
says,
yeah.
Revelation 17. The great whore sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So there is that in there. I mean, from that, even that's from a Christian perspective, not the occult perspective.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way that she's described in Revelation. You later see in Revelation that this woman is also given a choice, and that's when the new kingdom comes down. And does this woman decide to more or less join the new Jerusalem, or does she continue in her like debaucherous ways? And the energy that I believe that a lot of these scriptures are describing is the Scarlet Woman represents Banah on the Tree of Life. And when the Tree of Life, I think about each sphere has maybe a white or a black version of itself, a positive, a negative, an extreme or a balanced version of what that characteristic is of that sphere. So with the extreme expression of Banah, it's making the mistake of not keeping balance, and so it becomes this total emotional driven mindset that takes over a whole culture. It's just based only about the wants and the primal needs, and so that's where you see the fall of Babylon, where the harlot is mentioned there, because they were totally immoral, right? And so the fall of Babylon is because the entire society had become immoral. And in my opinion, I think Revelation, specifically when it's talking about the new, the second representation of the Scarlet Woman, is talking about more or less society is the way that we see it now, which causes this giant fall because people embrace this extreme energy. And you can see it played out even today with, in politics or, gender studies. There is no morality. It's just whatever its subjective morality is. There's nothing concrete. You can be whatever you want, and PC culture and things like that, where you can't call anything out that's going against natural order. In my opinion, I think that we're very close to the similar conditions that were in Babylon at the time.
Wow. And that's what is written on her forehead in Revelation, right? Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and the abominations of the earth.
Right.
I mean, and then the whole thing too, like I don't know if you've ever heard of the goddess Hecate, Ramsey.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's a three-faced goddess. That is also another problem why I don't think people actually understand the whole idea of the Scarlet Whore, is because there's more one aspect. There's at least, I mean, I think 3, but there could be 6. But I mean, you have the mother, the maiden, and the crone. And by the time you get to crone, which would be, believe it or not, is associated with the feminine energy of Saturn. Because she even goes back to Saturn, which is, I think, another reason why you don't hear about it so much, is because we're just meant to believe that Saturn is like this male, or this idea of a god eating its own child. There is a feminine side to it, and that kind of cuts out half of the story. So you're not really understanding all of it. But once you have gotten to that part, the crone, you are dealing with basically a lady that is aggravated. She's not happy anymore, and nothing will be good enough. So it's constant change. I got to control the situation, and you'll see society, I think, the way it is now.
Interesting. So the Scarlet Woman or whore becomes a representation of societal current society, right?
Yeah, I think it's an energy also that is used for, I would say, psyops or mind control. Black magic, stuff like that as well.
Interesting. And then Crowley had his Scarlet Woman, right? Didn't he have? I can't remember the total. Was it 12 or 13?
I was gonna say he had a bunch of them, and if I remember correctly, you probably know better. Didn't a few of them like kind of lose their mind?
Yeah, a lot of them went insane. One became a prostitute, and he branded each one of them on their chest with the mark of the beast, which was all of the kind of planetary spheres and their representations aggregated into a brand, and then you brand them on their chest.
Yeah.
So
Now,
yeah.
when it comes to like Crowley and I've even wondered about Parsons too, but my opinion, if you are actually have if you're talking about a Scarlet Woman and it's a physical real person, my opinion, now that's something different. I actually think this is more of like an MK Ultra project where that is the vessel for whatever you're looking to bring in, and you're actually using that woman basically to fracture their mind, try to pull them out, and put something back in. And I think that's why a lot of women had problems.
Yes, and I think that Crowley used those women as kind of energy reservoirs, so his magical techniques would increase the magic, and then when he was done with them, he would just cast them aside and get a new one. So, like one of his older ones, he just left on the street. She became a prostitute in Paris. So, really terrible stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you look at the tree, I mean, you have the moon is one of them, a version of one of them, and then you would have Venus, which is the maiden, and then the old crone would be Saturn. So I mean, even when you want to start getting, I mean, there's always things about Venus. What does that have to do with it? Something about Lucifer and all that stuff. But she's definitely an interesting character. That, in my opinion, you see the story of her constantly everywhere. I mean, like we even just showed in our show, The Matrix, WandaVision, the movie Mother. That's, in my opinion, one of the best movies you could watch to explain the Scarlet Whore. The movie,
really, wow.
Yeah, with an exclamation point. That is all about it. And after we get off, what you heard us say, if you thought about that as you watch the movie, you'd be like, wow, I see it. Because it's all that movie is her constantly getting bothered by what her husband's doing and then trying to control the situation, control the world, or, keep everybody in like a little cute, like little box and just, mother's going to keep you safe, stuff like that. And it starts to, at some point, you don't let somebody be who they are anymore. And in my opinion, that's not love.
Woman, and that was from what, 2011? The Woman? No. Which film is that?
Mother.
Mother. Sorry, jeez.
Yeah, it had the girl from, oh man, what was that? Hunger Games.
With Darren, gotcha. Girl with Darren Aronofsky. Yeah.
People
thought that was very mysterious, yes.
It's very weird. I mean, even in the movie towards the end, you can see the representation of Jesus. You're right, she gives birth, and this baby is supposed to be pure. But then, once she's given this baby over to sort of the other people that reside in this house, then they tear the baby apart, and it's a total representation of, like the sacrifice of Jesus. And so that movie is super loaded. I highly recommend everyone give it a watch because it's good. I mean, the movie's great in itself, but it's telling you a much larger story.
Interesting. Wow. I mean, and that's it. And I thought I saw like something in some of your research. You included, I think it was Little Red Riding Hood, or there was something from a Disney movie or cartoon, right?
Is that
something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's tons of them. The Little Red Riding Hood. I know that New York Patriot found a couple other ones.
I'm trying to think. Well, we covered WandaVision. It's so funny that those first two, I feel like they were so long ago. Because we have like 5 episodes of it. So,
right.
Trying to remember what I included. But Little Red Riding Hood would be. Oh, I mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because a mare is a horse. Now, like if you were to look at the chariot card, Ramsey, you'll see that, depending on which kind of card you're looking at, but you normally will see a black and a white horse. That's for each pillar. That's representation of each pillar. And a horse, a dove, maybe like an albatross, those can all represent like the right pillar, the white pillar, and that can show like it rising or the energy of it building up. And then you would have a black horse, a crow, bees. What else? Ravens. That can all show like the energy of the left pillar or the black pillar, and you'll even see that on the chariot card how they're both like kind of like splitting apart in a sense.
Which tarot deck?
If you look at the magical golden dawn one, that one I know because I used it for myself. But
yeah, the golden dawn, that one's That's such a crazy deck. But yeah, and then she's also represented really crazy in that deck as
Oh,
the
that's
star
her
as
right
well.
there. That's her right there.
So the Empress.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you would see like that would be the, the thing behind her could have been the veil or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because the way that for people who maybe don't know too much about the tree of life, when you look at the tree of life, right, you have a left pillar and you have a right pillar. And sure, there's a middle pillar in between, but for the left pillar, it's total representation of the feminine. For the right pillar, it's the representation of the male. And so Bana is more or less, the sphere that's associated with the Scarlet Woman. That is the third sphere from the top of the tree. And so think of that as sort of like a much more higher level sphere than the others because it's so high on the actual tree of life. So what it's representing is Bana it's represented by the number 3, but it is sort of the great grand, the mother of all things. That's the way occultists view it. So whatever that energy is associated with that sphere, by using your will and rituals and things like that, you can begin to channel that energy down through the tree and then into our world itself. So that's why you'll often see a lot of times, like for New Year's, for example, there were a lot of really crazy alignments. We were kind of worried about New Year's, for example, but the hour that we entered midnight was the hour. It was the fixed planetary hour of Saturn, which is the same representation. It corresponds to the same sphere, Bana. So it's expressing, this extreme version of itself, which does lead to chaos, which does lead to, mimetic warfare, the, great intelligence, but it's being withheld from people. So that's sort of what that sphere represents it as an extreme. And yeah, we honestly kind of hypothesize that these people who in dark occult groups, black magicians, that they're drawing some of that energy down into our world. And then I think it's pretty clear. I mean, it's systematic of what we see going on now. So it definitely
Corresponds into our present world.
Yes.
Exactly, right. And with very experienced magicians, and especially doing it over a long period of time, it's so simple, but yet so complex because they keep all of this stuff hidden from us. So, if I'm a black magician, dark magician, occultist, and I want to channel that energy down into Earth in its most extreme negative form, then I'm going to do rituals, I'm going to do meditations in the certain planetary hours that correspond with that sphere and with that planet. And, of course, using all the symbolism involved with the harlot, you would integrate that into rituals. And, yeah, so it's not as, I don't know, it's not as tricky or crazy. A lot of people think that magic is just, like a wand and you have to do all these certain movements, but it really can be just that simple. I want to draw this energy down into my reality. Okay, well, I'm just going to meditate on that energy during the hour that it exists, where it's most prominent. So
Interesting. And sorry, please continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, I realized that I actually forgot and stopped what I was saying about Nightmare on Elm Street. I totally forgot. I skipped over that. What I was getting at is that the left pillar would be the black horse. So now you have Night, Black, Mare, and Elm Street. I don't know if you know this or not, Ramsey, but like when it comes to trees and stuff, they're based, cedar, pine, elm. They're all feminine. They're all male energy because they're like a phallus. They're growing straight up. They're projective. They're growing higher than everything else. So there must be male energy to get up that high. So now you're talking about basically a black horse on the male energy. You know what I'm saying? If you look at it that way, and you could easily see him as maybe possibly being the beast, if you think about it, chasing around the Scarlet Whore.
Right, interesting. Johnny Depp's in this movie too. I forgot that.
Yeah. That's
1984.
he gets sucked into the bed and then spit all over the wall.
Right. Wow. So, I mean, it looks like there's themes of mind control here too. Like it's got the hand over her head and stuff.
I mean, and I think added into the beginning of part 2 of that. I mean, my opinion, I hate to say it, I even think Mary Jane and Spider-Man.
Interesting.
Same story. It's a love story between the two energies. That's why he's red and blue, because those are the top 2 spheres when you come into physical existence. It's red and blue.
Right. She has the red hair, right? Scarlet Woman.
She's the one who inspires him.
Right. So that's his Scarlet Woman, just like Jack Parsons, right? The red-haired woman.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought those were little interesting things to throw in there. I mean, I even think the Statue of Liberty is a form of one of her too.
Right. I mean, isn't it? It's not a kate; it's a representation of one of the goddesses, right? I forgot which one.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's another thing too with a lot of these goddesses. That, you know, if you were to take all religions and pagan beliefs and all this stuff, and probably like you took all these well-known female goddesses or names, and then wrote out what they did or their qualities, you probably start noticing a lot of them kind of fitting into separate groups. And you have the story told, like someone mentioned Kali, like she would just be like she'd be a lot like, in my opinion, Black Widow, the character Black Widow, just the very martial violent feminine nature, more of like Athena. She set wars off.
Right. There's Mary Jane too.
Yeah, so like when you
total Scarlet Woman.
Look at that. I showed Ramsey something new. He's like total Scarlet Woman.
Yeah, no, it's all there.
I mean, even if you start looking at the colors, like that one, she was showing like a reflection almost of his head going down the other way, a reflection of yourself. His head's missing, but it's upside down now. As above, so below. And she's the one pushing him down.
Right. And
she's
almost
the white light of God.
Yeah, and she's standing over, sitting over the mass, so meaning she's more in control.
And like even her legs are almost making an upside down triangle, which normally is representative of pulling in from the abyss into this world. The upside down triangle is used a lot for that, to show that.
I mean,
something.
If you slid her up on the angle, he would be making the triangle up, and she'd be making the triangle down. Right?
This actually almost reminds me a little bit of a picture that I saw in an Elvis Levi book, where it's like this guy who like has his arms out and they reflect on the bottom. I can't remember the name of it.
Is that the what's the statue that they worshipped? I can't remember right now. What's the stat? It was Baphomet, right? Doesn't Baphomet have the symbol of the above below, like right here? No, I guess not.
Yeah, no, it was a different, really weird one. I think it's in his book. I don't remember exactly what book, but it's. I think if you go down a little bit more, you might see it.
It's kind of like the Seal of Solomon or something.
Yeah, it's something like that, but it's like a guy might be right above it. It's kind of like showing his top body and then the bottom part making it, the reflection, making it a whole.
Actually,
reminded me of that a little bit.
If you could click on one of those tarot images, William, that'd be great. Of the devil.
Of the Baphomet?
Yeah.
This one?
Right. So, you see the same representation in tarot. It's too bad we didn't have a version of the... Could you maybe just Google the devil card from the tarot just real fast?
Oh, you know what's another good movie too? Maybe you've checked out, or I'm sure you know Rob Zombie. I mean, guys.
Yeah, I've heard of Rob Zombie.
No, but I'm saying, I don't think he hides like what he's into.
Right. I don't think so either.
No, if you watch Lords of Salem, that main character who I think is his wife, that is the story of the Scarlet Whore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because at the end it shows you in a sexual way both energies rising. And it shows her riding the goat and everything at the end.
Right. Really? Wow, that's great.
So as far as the devil card goes, so in tarot, right, basic way to, I'll just break it down real quick, is that with tarot, you have a major arcana, and you have a minor arcana. Major arcana is a representation of the different spheres on the tree of life and their characteristics. And they're considered the big cards of the tarot. And then you have the minor arcana. Now, each one of these cards corresponds to a sphere on the tree of life, and that's based on the Hebrew alphabet. And as far as, so the Hebrew alphabet has 22 letters. And the tarot for the major arcana has 22 cards. It's not by mistake. They're directly correlated to a Hebrew letter. Now, when you look at the corresponding card to Saturn and its sphere, that is the Devil card.
Interesting.
So, very interesting that the Devil card shows up with Saturn. And you can take a look at the Devil card itself, and you'll notice that it's a male, and I think it's a male and a female, but they're both in chains. But if you look at the bottom of their feet, they're actually not tight. The chains are not tight around their feet. They're more or less being kept in slavery by their own will, by their own volition, because they're not choosing to take the steps that are needed to escape this Saturn-like energy. And yeah, he's doing the as so above, so below, and then the inverted pentagram, which would be showing energy coming down from Binah, and then eventually down into our reality, which would be, Malkuth. So
Yeah, I even believe the wings show that like neither are rising or falling as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's expressing that this, and it's interesting that it's a male and a female talking about how those are the energies that are being manipulated or controlled by that card, by Saturn. So definitely a complex card. And in the Hermetic Tarot, which is the one that I had to use because I was in the Golden Dawn, there's so much imagery in that card, it's bananas. So it's like
Really? Wow.
you could break down that card for hours. It's just nuts how much they have in the symbolism on that card.
You know what is, and you don't have to look it up, but I think it actually blew my mind when I read it, and I was like, wow, was this one of the most honest things that maybe Crowley actually said? There's the Lover's card for the Golden Dawn magic deck, and in that it kind of looks like either a man coming out of the water or coming down. A lot of these cards, you can look at them in multiple ways because it can show as well going up the path or coming down the path. There's two ways to everything on that tree, at least. So those cards are showing you basically like it could even be more than that, but they're showing you a few different stories with one picture. That's how people don't totally understand what they're looking at, because you may think there's just one or two ideas and there's like another two or three, so you're missing everything. But in the Lover's card, there is a female chained to, it looks like a rock or something, and then there's this guy coming out of the water. He has a sword in his hand, and it looks like he has like fins or feathers or something for his ears. And it looks like he's coming to save her, maybe. And if you look up some of the ideas behind the Lover's card, Crowley, I think, even said for his own, when I guess he was making them, because they got produced after his death anyway.
The Book of Thoth, or the
Thoth. They weren't made until after he was dead anyway. But he said, I think one of the negative things of the card, and this is, I think, if you look at this, it would make make more sense. Self-pity for others, and if you look at wait, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Basically, we're saying that that you will lose yourself due to pitying other people when they don't need it. There's something to that effect. And that's exactly what I think is being done in that card. She's playing the damsel in distress. I need help. Come help me. And out of self-pity for something that had nothing to do with you, now you got wound up. And that's where the male energy gets taken away, picked up by the female, and then she goes off and does what she does. It's the way. It's like a thing of trickery, really.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the end of the ninth gate. I know you guys have done an analysis of this, but there is a representation of the woman rides the beast. In that.
Beast. Yeah.
This is it here. Here's the woman rides the beast.
Mm-hmm.
That's the representation of the Scarlet Woman.
Yeah. You also
That's
see,
actually that's Polanski's wife too, which is weird.
in both of the Ghostbuster movies, it's the same thing at the end.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That with Zool and with that what was his name?
Right.
Yeah.
His
I mean,
name was,
think about it. You got the guy, that other guy who kind of acts like a moron. He's the fool. He turns into a beast. He's going running around looking for this chick.
Yeah.
And they're on top of the Empire State Building with pillars in between them.
Yeah, 2 pillars, one are left and right.
And,
And then
screens. The same
Right,
thing.
there you go, right
Something
here.
like this.
Triangle, pillars,
Yeah.
altar. It's all there.
Yo, it was all in our
And-
faces when we were kids, and we had no idea.
No idea. They were just getting everybody ready for it. Well,
And then think about how in the first movie, what brings about the destruction. Well, she says, I want you to pick your destruction. That's what she says. And the Ghostbusters, they say, okay, everybody clear your mind, clear your mind, clear your mind. And so it's showing us that the concept is what we think will destroy us, what we think will be brought into our reality. So they all try to clear their mind. One of them can't, and then of course, we get the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
right.
But yeah, it's showing us that what we think is coming down into our reality, or concepts, ideas of that figure coming into our reality. So
Right. No, it's fascinating. It's like it's almost like a magical thing. Like clear your mind, see what happens next. Wow. Let's see if I can find this. Let's show this. Oh, that's too far in. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's so much. It's just another example of people being exposed to all this stuff.
Yep.
Crazy.
And it just makes you wonder, like, do the actors even know what they're doing? Are they in the know as well? It's such making you wonder about everybody.
Right. Well, that's a good question. Like, I mean, how much are these being told to make these weird hand signs? Or are they doing it intentionally? What's going on? I don't know.
And that's just based off the Matrix is one of the huge ones, because when you look at the Matrix 2, right? The Matrix 2 Reloaded, I think, is what it's called. There is a moment in the movie where Neo needs to get out of the Matrix. He needs to get out of this false reality. There she is, right there.
This one.
It's a bit up to the right. She's got a tan dress on second column, second.
Oh,
from
it's
the left.
her right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the person that Neo and Trinity, his girlfriend, right? Total representation of the top 3 spheres on the tree. But anyway, they have to go, and the only way that they can get out of the Matrix is if they get the keys to the Matrix. But there are these very high-level people who were guarding Neo and everybody else from leaving the Matrix. And the whole goal is that they have to get a key to get out. So they go to see these 2 people. Her name is Persephone, or Persephone, and that is an actual Greek mythological figure in history that is the same representation as the Scarlet Woman. So they even in the movie use the actual name of who she's supposed to be representing. Now, there's a man that's sitting next to her, and he's saying, that me and her are sort of like the guardians of the Matrix, and you can't get out, and we're never going to give you any information to get out, so you might as well just leave. And his name is the Merovingian.
Right.
Which is also a term that we see in history to describe certain bloodlines, right? So what happens is the woman, she needs to get a kiss from Neo, and then she will give Neo the keys to the Matrix. because she doesn't like the way that the Merovingian, her husband, is treating her. She feels like he's taken total control, and she doesn't have any free will. So she talks about how shallow and angry he is now and how negative he is. So there's the extreme expression of the male, but that would more correspond to a different sphere. But anyway,
Well,
so
no, you remember when we rewatched it again? And we were like, I think that was actually she's the feminine energy, and remember there was squares behind him,
yeah,
green squares, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I think he's actually the male energy at the top with her, and she's unhappy, and then that's what causes the problem. She goes off.
yeah, that's what I was.
It's almost showing the male and female energies in the same area. Am I
Right. And then sort of the male expression of Chalkema, which would be that sphere, like
Yeah.
totally taking control of her in that extreme form. Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And
But it's also. Okay, please continue. Go ahead.
but she gives Neo a kiss, or he kisses her, and she says that's not enough. I can feel that that's not real love. I want you to kiss me the way that you kiss Trinity. So then he kisses Persephone again with meaning, and she gives him the keys to leave the Matrix. So it's very interesting because it's the same representation. Top two spheres, the extreme female, the extreme male. They guard the exit to the Matrix, and that's one of the ways that they got out. So
Yeah. Now this is what's wild, man. It'll blow your mind. If you can follow us. Now, if you look at her as Persephone, and possibly this is like another way of looking at it, you could see her possibly over by where Netzach would be on the green sphere. And then on the left, this dude was like the genius. He was the program master. That would be Thoth. He would be on Mercury, right across from each other on the pillars, right across from each other. Then when there is a problem, the twins come in and start chasing them. That is the Chariot card.
Interesting. And also, if you want to talk about this,
Gemini is associated with that card, the twins.
right.
interesting.
That's their way of showing you going up the tree now. They're just picking a way to use the symbols and the ideas of that card or that expression or that experience. They're just expressing it in an action way now.
And if you want to talk about the energy of the Scarlet Woman taking over, I think the two Wachowski brothers both had sex changes, or
They both did,
trans. Yeah.
Oh, I
don't know
real quick on what Fire Pixie said.
Yeah.
Now this is only because probably like from my beliefs, from I guess maybe what experiences I've had, I do believe that she's actually correct and that she's right. I just believe that we actually right here where we live, that unfortunately I think that's the underworld. I think that we're stuck in hell now and heaven is somewhere else. So I would actually agree. Yes, she keeps bad people in the underworld, which is here. That's my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah, I honestly think once you've made it into the flesh, that's just my opinion, that you are in hell. I don't think we were meant to be. We're supposed to be in the spirit. That's just my opinion. In the spirit, we are still, we are closer to God. I don't think we were meant to be this far away.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's a most dense one, the tree of life, right? It's the lowest on the entire tree, so it's showing the very bottom. We are in the basement, if you want to compare it to that on the tree of life. So
Interesting. What's your guys' thoughts on the Scarlet Witch?
Oh, it's the same thing. I mean,
Same thing.
that show will actually show you everything if you know how to watch it, right? I mean, we covered parts of that in our first episode. I mean, they show you that. I mean, they even show you a Matrix if you want to believe in that. But they show you the air. They show you the whole Yad He Vad He. When she gives birth, they actually show you the whole Yad He Vad He formula. Fire, water, wind, and then the baby is birthing in the new aeon. That's the earth part. But if you watch that show, they start having electrical problems, stuff starts sparking, things are going off in the house. That's fire. I mean, it's electric, it's the same thing. Then all of a sudden, it starts raining inside the house. And then that ends. And then she opens up the back doors and lets all this air blow in. And then she has the baby.
So it's all there. Earth, air, fire, water. That's crazy.
Yeah, and if you watch it, she even changes things. If she thinks that he is going to find out something that might bother him, she rewinds time and then does it over again. And it does not turn into color until they kiss. When they finally kiss, she rewinds time again, makes him say something else. They kiss, and it turns into color. He is locked into her matrix now.
Wow. It's just the people are just swimming in occultism in these films too. It's wild.
Yeah. And I tell you what, that new Matrix, I think, is very occult in itself. I think that the new Matrix is honestly making fun of the older Matrixes. I think that it's
4. This is it.
I believe so.
What number are we on?
Should be. Yeah, it's the brand new one that they just released on in theaters, but you could also watch it on HBO. But the whole feel of that movie is that the people who made it, the Wachowski sisters or brothers or whatever, are scoffing and making fun at the fact that we still don't understand what the first movies were about. And it is so... The movie is so dumbed down. I'm not even kidding you. When I started to watch it, I thought I was watching a parody. I was like, I clicked on the wrong thing. This can't be real. Like, this isn't like the actual movie, right? This is bad. I mean, this seems like a B-roll movie. And nope, it is. It's the real movie, and it's gotten terrible, terrible reviews. But I think people are missing the point that it's putting it down to a level that's so simplistic, funny, and I don't know, just that it has to be a parody of itself. That's just making fun of the fact that people didn't see what was in the first films.
I honestly think that's what, and I don't think he did it so much to be mean. I think he was just kind of done with it, though. I think that's what David Lynch did with Twin Peaks, the third series. It was just like, yo, I already told you it was done after season 2. And I'm just going to make some other weird stuff that you're not going to understand and tell you that you ruined the series. And it's done and over with.
Yeah.
Just because you didn't understand it, because you didn't understand what you were watching.
Didn't understand the first season.
Yeah, Twin Peaks. I mean, you pull up the Red Room. That's Aquarius symbol on the floor. They have a thing of Saturn in there. They have these light bulbs that look like more like a funnel coming down instead of going up. So that's showing you like coming down into existence. The little man is that's the whole occult homunculus idea of the little man that sits in between both parts of the brain. He shows you, David Lynch shows you everything, in my opinion. He is probably one of the best. I mean, not that I'm trying to promote him. I mean, but for occult stuff, he really puts a lot out there and people have no idea. And I think that's how he gets away with it. Because of the way he puts it out there, people just can't understand it. But he is telling you a lot.
It's like that picture right there.
That's the veil, too.
Yeah, there's the veil, right? That, you know, even the Bible talks about the ripping of the veil.
Right.
And in Solomon's temple, things like that. Then you can see you got 2 pillars. And I believe New York, you did confirm that was Persephone behind her, right?
Yeah, I think it might be, yes.
Yep.
Wow.
So there's
And Saturn statue.
Yep. And then you got the, black and white alternating floors.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like, and like Bob was the beast, and that's who killed Laura. You know, I mean, they say it's Paula, but it's a beast. You know, he's possessed with the beast. So he killed her in the see, and there you go. That would be like kind of like left and right brained, and then he's in the middle, the little guy in the middle of the brain.
Right.
And that's why he talks backwards, because technically, you know, in my opinion, this is, you know, when you start getting into this type of magic, you are leaving your body and spirit. That's my opinion, or you're getting very close to it. So they will, a lot of times, that's why you'll see backward masking in songs or in stuff. It's just a representation of going back in time. Because technically, if you want to think about it, you were in spirit first, and then you were birthed into flesh. So now you're going from the flesh back into spirit. So that's why a lot of backward stuff is used. And he talks in a way that sounds like it's almost backwards. It's very weird the way he talks. It's all like backward, reverse reverb, I think is what's probably used on his voice. Or something to that effect. And that they're showing you that as well. He's part of going back in time, or however you want to look at it. alchemy, going from one form to the next.
Wow.
Yeah, and when
Now,
when
didn't
we
he
say
do Mulholland Drive too? Didn't he do Mulholland Drive?
Yes, that's all about
another-
different aspects of the Scarlet Whore. That lady gets birthed into the world. She's like, I don't even know who I am. The lady
This
with
was
amnesia.
crazy. There's your blue and red again, right?
Yeah. Black.
I've never
is
seen
Saturn.
that. You keep telling me I should check that out. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, all his a lot of his stuff is huge.
Yeah.
I think there is kind of like a midget in here too, or a little person or something. If I remember.
Yeah, there's like two different little people, I think, in Twin Peaks season 3.
Yeah, and for listeners out there who are like, wait a minute, all this Matrix stuff, talk of that kind of what. And honestly, I don't want to show too much because this is something that we're going to cover in our very last episode to sort of wrap the whole thing up. But if you believe in God, if you're a Christian, in the Old Testament, the Matrix is even mentioned there. I forget the exact verse, but you can find it just by Googling Old Testament Matrix verse. But it talks about he who shall open up the matrix, take it away from, or give into, or something like that, right? But we're not. Yeah, our simple point is, if you are a Christian or religious or whatever of the faith, I think that the tree of life itself, when we talk about that, it is just simply explaining the way that realities are constructed. It's just an outline, a rough outline for the way that sort of, how it says God laid the firmament. So I just think it's showing the structure of space and time, and nothing. I mean, besides that, it's totally loaded. But I don't want Christians to get the wrong opinion as though we're trying to say that, oh well, there's no way that this correlates or relates to Christianity at all. I think it's just showing the structure of the house that we live in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's even symbols that, as crazy as it sounds, when you start getting up to the top of the tree, in my opinion, it even shows like, energy or like heart rate. You start actually seeing symbols that if you change them around as you move up the tree, it would show like her legs on crossing. If you take like this, if you take the sigil of Saturn is kind of like two triangles, kind of, and then a thing through the middle of them. It looks like an up peak and then a down peak and then a line through the middle of it. Now, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. All right, you see that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now, well, actually, this is something I don't even think I've gotten into on my own show. Shit. All right. Oh well. And then Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Now, as you saw before on the David Lynch stuff, the Aquarius sigil is just the two waves, but they're not crossing. They're not crossing. They're actually kind of moving together, but not touching each other, not crossing. When Aquarius, now the Scarlet Whore, she has her cup, right?
Right.
She holds that cup. Aquarius is now a bucket. If it's made out of wood, that's even more a version of a male, spilling out. You uncross her legs, and then you get the Aquarius symbol, which is the male free from her energy. He is not ruled by her anymore, and he is spilling out.
And yeah, and to add to that, the left pillar is known as being the pillar of the feminine, which would be Binah, Gabora, and Hod. But it's also called the pillar of severity. So it's showing you that it's these energies taken to a far, far, far extreme. So that's controlling of the at that level would be in its most extreme form, controlling of the male. The energy of the male, the characteristics of the male.
I mean, even like I think I mentioned earlier, and I wanted to try to mention it before we ended.
Okay.
About like the bees, because I think if you do watch Mother, you'll maybe get a little bit more of an understanding of why she's drinking that yellow stuff.
Okay.
With bees, in my opinion, well, one, they have they're black and yellow. Black would go with the sphere with Saturn, the left sphere, and yellow would be for air, and air and water are both associated with Binah. Just depends on which the male or the female type thing that you're looking at, but they'll both be there. So those colors do kind of match if you want to like look at them in an occult sense and use them for an occult sense as that part of the tree. Now, bees also have a hive, and they are ran by a queen bee. All right, and then they all listen to her. Now, also when bees have honey, scientists think that they start to defy gravity somehow, because they say that with their wings, they should not be able to still fly holding anything. It just doesn't make sense. There is an idea out there that somehow maybe they're defying gravity. But in my opinion, with that idea out there, I don't know how old that idea is. Maybe it's old. I don't know. I could be wrong. But the Scarlet Whore, she already has the milk. She's the feminine energy. She's got the milk. Now she's got the honey, and now she's rising up. And that's why you're going to see that chick in that movie. Every time she's having a problem and she's not happy and she's getting headaches, she goes drinks this yellow stuff, and then all of a sudden she's back to normal and she's taking control.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah,
and isn't there something to do with?
She stops drinking it, because by then it's like, all right, I've already got you. We've had sex.
I thought there was something like Masonic having to do with the beehive or something. Like nobody knows what goes on inside there.
Oh, probably that too. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even there's like, I've even mentioned how I thought Pepe really isn't what everybody thinks is, but even if you watch that movie Mother, there's a part when she goes downstairs in the basement and like she opens up the door and like the only thing that comes out is a frog. It hops out, ribbits, comes out. She closes the door, and at that point, that's when all hell breaks loose in that house, pretty much.
Yeah. The whole structure of the house starts to fall down, right?
Well, it just everything starts like speeding up. Like, I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but like it's just like every possible horrible thing that could probably happen between now and the end of the world happens in this house in like a half hour.
Yeah.
It's just wild. It's just like explosions, cops coming in. It's just like insanity going on. And it's all because she's just like lost her mind and control. And she's just like ending it. This isn't good, and I'm just going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea of what the color purple means? Does that have some kind of occult meaning?
I think that is a higher arc of Gabura and Chesed. On purple, on the Kabbalah itself, is associated with the sphere of Chesed, but on the second or third, like each sphere has 4 spheres associated. Like each sphere has 4 different versions of it. There will be 4 different colors. There'll be 4 different tarots. There'll be 4 different kind of structures of like going from in the form up into maybe the archetype of God in that sphere. Purple is used, I think, where the archangels kind of fall. So it's like it's right before like you're getting close to God. So it's a higher arc of that experience.
Gotcha. Have you ever seen this thing that these Manson murders or Manson affiliated murders that they have this, like this was Leno LaBianca's body, they carved war in, but it was like they always leave out the fact that it was like an occult Saturn as above below symbol. You notice that? You ever seen that?
Yeah. No, but that's exactly what I would. As soon as I saw that, I would think either it's like Freemasonry or Saturn. Yeah, that's the first thing I would think of seeing.
Yeah, so that's how they carved it in there. They always leave that out, and then the same thing is that when Arliss Perry, who died at Stanford Memorial Church, they laid her pants over her spread out legs like this.
Wow. Oh, you know what? Leave that. If you're going to leave that symbol right there, that Freemason symbol.
Mm-hmm.
This is and I think this is what I wanted to also say before when we were talking about the matrix part. In my opinion, the cube of Saturn is the male energy. That is the male version of Saturn. Then the circle, the sphere of Binah, is the female energy of Saturn. Now, if you look at that stuff right there, That compass is going to make the circle, and that square is going to make the square. So they're telling you right there, we are both energies of Saturn.
Wow.
I think.
Or yeah, even expressing those energies in its extreme form.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people want to see this article, I wrote this a long time ago, but I posted it again on my website. Process Crowley Moss and the Unsolved Murder of Arliss Perry, which was written before they supposedly caught this Crawford guy who was in Sons of Sam, but he was probably not the only one.
Yeah, I see your friend. The Annabelle, I know Toth, he can be associated with the color yellow or Mercury, and they say that Toth or gods that fall into that sphere kind of were there to watch existence become into reality. So I guess you'd be pretty close to God, I guess, in that thought. So
interesting. Do you guys have anything else you want to add? I mean, do we have more to talk about, or what are your thoughts?
It's up to you. I mean, if you want to keep going, Lux or William, it's up to you.
I mean, do you have more things on this subject, the Scarlet Woman, Scarlet Whore, or have we covered everything, or what?
I think
maybe the best thing to do is just direct people to your show.
Yeah.
Have them listen to it first. Have them listen to your entire. You've done 2 hours, and you're going to do a third hour, right?
Oh, we have 5. We have 3 done. We're recording 4 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Because I only see 2 up here. So
yeah. Well, the third one drops next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So maybe that's the best place. Where's the best place to listen to your show? Is it iTunes, or do you have a YouTube channel?
No, the YouTube came down. Not that I really care if it's Apple or Spotify, but we did do the Spotify video. So, in my opinion, really, you would get the best out of this if you could watch it. I'm not saying to go to Rumble or BitChute to do that, but if you use Spotify, you could at least look at the video as well. Spotify podcast.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been a crazy series for us to do because, like I said, it is in so much of expressions in religion and in history. You see the same expression of this figure over and over again, and that it's just very difficult to sort of wrap up in a short amount of time. So that's why the series is so long, because we wanted to just give people as much information about the subject as we really could, because it's very confusing for people who might not know about the concept. So we even had to start from just that very basic place of where do we see this figure all the way to the end of where we're going with the series. So definitely suggest everybody check it out. No, it's a lot of time, but it's really worth it. And by the time that we finish up episode 5, I think that it's really going to help people to see the occultism that is all around them, how it's being used against them, how you can take that power back and understand these concepts so that you can recognize them in your daily life. And I just hope everybody checks it out. And I would definitely not suggest maybe just watching one episode. This is not for views. It's not, but we're telling a long story, and so just to understand the whole story, you really have to kind of watch all the
go
episodes.
Through. And you guys have done 3 parts on Franklin Cover Up. You've been on a bunch of other shows, Jehovah's Witnesses. So you guys have been very busy doing research. I remember you guys were doing the Loyal Order. Not the Order of the Moose, but the...
we covered them too. Quetzalcoatl, the Shriners.
Shriners, and the Jesters, that's right.
Yeah.
So
we even covered Rando Nautica, too.
Say that again? Rando Nautica? I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's an app. Oh, wow.
You got to check this out, William.
Okay.
This is maybe another show.
This one right here? Rando Nautica.
Yeah.
Is that an app?
Yeah, it's an app you can use.
I think somebody told me about this, that it's super creepy. It takes you somewhere, right?
Yeah, it brings you to points. But I mean, we did research into the company and the people involved with it and stuff. And I mean, it legit. What was it? The project manager was he was somebody who was a lecturer at I don't know if it was Thelemic totally, but there was a lot of Thelemic influenced people there. It was over in another country in Sweden or whatever, but the project manager had a lecture at an occult get-together gathering thing. Yeah, I mean, I showed videos of like parts, of like of what was on their YouTube page, because they even have YouTube videos. I forgot the name of it though, but yeah, I mean, this app is heavily, I believe, deeply rooted in occultism.
There's
I
the
mean,
there's the owl, right? There's the
yeah,
owl right there.
I mean,
Yeah, that's Occult Rejects was the name of it.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
love
you know what's wild is that when you start looking into the people that are associated with the app itself, the only information you find out about the one dude, Josh, and any information about the people that he supposedly worked for prior, they are all printed by a company that is owned from the same source. So you are literally hearing the only thing you hear about that dude and the Rando Nautica book itself is all being printed from different places or different news sites, but owned by the same company. So you only know what one thing is telling you about this app.
Yeah. And
Wow, that's
what's the craziest part about the whole thing is that they say that it's an app to just go out and adventure, but when you listen to the words that come out of the project manager's mouth, he openly says that this is, used for occult principle to show how what you think you can create and how you should use it for divination and a bunch of other bunch of rituals. It's incredible. It's wild.
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. You guys did something on Travis Scott, right? Because
Yeah.
I did something that was hyper occult.
Oh.
That was an upside down cross in the circle. I mean, it goes right back to tarot and the Lingamiani. I mean, that was off the charts. Usually people like say, "Oh, you should check this out," and usually I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." But I started looking at that. I was like, "Wow, there's so much there."
Some
Oh my
wild
God.
stuff, especially even in his videos. He's got a lot of occult stuff in his own videos.
Oh man, there's like a horned god coming out of the background, people ascending the mountain,
Yeah.
Jodorowsky hints, all kinds of crazy stuff is in there.
Yeah.
People dying.
Yeah, dying. I mean, just eyeballs. Like he had that. He spent a lot of money on that, but he's in real trouble. Fire Pixie asked, "What about the dead bodies that those kids found using Rando Nautica? Do you know about that?"
I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we do. What did the guy? Honestly, I don't even remember. What we had a guest on. I think it was yesterday, right? That covered covers Rando Nautica. See, now this is another thing that blew my mind, and I think I actually can tell people this is really something that's going on. I think with this app, it may sound silly, but this guy actually takes ghost hunting equipment with him. He picks up EMF readings when he's out with this app. Sometimes he picks up voice recordings. He picks up things on his meters. Sometimes when he goes out with this app. So I really do believe there is something going on.
Wow,
with that. But now I don't know if the dead bodies are real or not. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's stuff there's things I see on the TV where I think it's like Ocean's 11. It's just like some, the cops aren't even real, and it's some staged event, and we're just being told it's true on the TV.
Yeah, the way that the app got really, really the only thing that made this app get very popular, it started at the very beginning of the pandemic, is that right before the pandemic really exploded, this news article came out of Seattle saying that these kids that were using the application had found a dead body because essentially you use the app to you think about what you want to find, and then you meditate on it for a moment, and then the app takes you to a location to find what you want. They claimed that their intention was murder, right? And that they get this pin from Rando Nautica that sends them to, it's like a beach, and then they find a dead body. And then that news article is the only reason why Rando Nautica blew up the way that it did. And as far as I know, based on the guest that we had on yesterday, he believes that could maybe even been like a staged event. Maybe it was just sort of like a promotional thing. But this guy spent more hours on this app than anybody else I've seen. It's nuts. But he says that any other claim of them finding dead bodies is actually false. And the only verifiable one is the first encounter.
Wow, but it makes a good story. That's something that people would definitely look, pique their interest. Some paranormal stuff thrown in there with. So it reminds me of that Stephen King book. What was it? The Stephen King movie where they try to find the body by the train tracks.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Stand By Me.
Stand By Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand By Me.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I think
Awesome,
that
thank
we
you.
covered everything. Yeah, thanks for coming back on. It's great to talk with you. Keep up the good work. People go to check
Thank
out the Occult Rejects on Spotify. It's a 5-part series on the Scarlet Whore, so there's a lot more information, folks. And if people want to reach out to you, where's the best place?
I guess Twitter for the Occult Rejects, the NY Patriots Bro, Instagram. I want to tell your fans, Jack Pine and the other person too. Thank you for the comments. Appreciate that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you guys were a big hit last time. So good
Yeah,
luck and keep up the good work. Keep in
Sounds
touch. All right. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right,
Later.
bye-bye. Stay there.